Well, hello everyone. Zach, do you want to intro us on this?
Sure, yeah. So, if it wasn't inferable already, this is Zach. Um, yeah, so this is just going to be our commentary on Wild Boys the Hunt for Sasquatch. Excuse me, just whistled through my teeth there. But yeah, so this is just our kind of open with the credits and stuff like that.
Yeah. How did this movie come about?
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun story. So I had initially gone and pitched a different movie to these guys, but after just going through some early pre-production stuff, we kind of realized that probably wasn't going to be 100% feasible, just with the time that we had. So we were like, okay, let's still make a movie this summer. And so we started like brainstorming and stuff like that, and we found out, oh yeah, Ethan has this Sasquatch costume.
Yeah.
Just lying about,
Yep.
as one does. And so we were like, okay, what can we do with this? And the creative juices started flowing, and
Yeah.
we kind of got to what we eventually ended up filming in around probably towards the end of July. Right?
Yeah, it was mid-July, yeah. Yeah. We came up with this movie idea through just kind of a collaborative writing process. It was very loose. Probably our loosest in terms of like cobbling together a feature film as a group. So, Jordan, you want to talk some about like how we came up with some of the ideas and just what that was like?
Yeah. What did we do? So long ago. Feels like a long time ago. Okay, so I know what we did for this movie specifically, or coming up with the idea of this movie.
Whatever you feel like you can talk more on, I guess.
Well, I guess the writing wise, I mean, I feel comfortable saying this. I think you guys too. This movie was entirely improvised.
Yes.
I think I feel pretty. That's an accurate statement to make. That the movie was improvised. We had the arc of the stories and scene ideas, kind of in a loose outline, where we knew, okay, we should have a scene where this happens, scene where this happens, scene where this happens. But all that that paper would look like was just a little bullet point that said, Ethan makes a vlog, Zach comes over, Jordan comes over, and they leave. Like that would be it. So,
and it would kind of be just iterative once we were on set. We would kind of run it. I think our best way we did it, or our groove was kind of like we'd do it three times. First time it'd be like just feeling out the rough beats. The second time trying things a little different or just seeing how things felt, and the third time was like bringing it home. Kind of usually I feel like the third take was our best for the most part, not always, but for the most part.
Yeah.
Because we kind of really found the rhythm of just what we were trying to do.
And we didn't find that out until
over halfway.
I'm trying to think of the scene. I know there was a couple of scenes where we kind of hit that groove.
Yeah, we can kind of talk about them as they come
we'll
up,
talk about them
too.
when they
Because I can remember several of them, so I know those would be good to talk about.
But this sequence in the beginning, there was a lot of stuff cut.
Yeah.
From this beginning.
In the original, not really script, but the general idea was, it was kind of a lot of Ethan explaining stuff, and it's like, it was good, but it was like not necessarily necessary.
I walk the people through the entire movie in the beginning in the original. Like,
yeah, we shot the whole thing where it's like you're walking through everything, where we just cut earlier from my scene. There was probably a solid maybe 2 minutes more of that scene that just were not necessarily necessary. I keep saying necessarily necessary.
Yeah,
it's fun. But yeah, so we kind of cut down both of the interactions a little bit just so that it flowed a little more, and it was a lot of redundant information that we didn't necessarily need, even if there were a couple fun jokes in there.
Yeah.
And this scene, like, this is what we're talking about right here. Like, in this scene, Ethan says, here's how we're going to catch Bigfoot. Here's how we're going to do Bigfoot calls.
Yeah.
And that happened at, like, probably 4 or 5 different parts in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
which really ate up our runtime.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where because it was improv, it was like...
We didn't know when we were going to use it, so we gave ourselves way more coverage than we needed to shoot. Which was nice, though, because that meant we could confidently cut things out when it was time to.
Yeah.
And I'm curious on your guys' perspective, but for me, I think the hardest stuff to improvise was everything before we arrive at the campsite.
Yes.
Does that feel about true to say?
We didn't really...
Yeah, there were... I remember
because we were setting up
correctly,
the movie.
it was like in our initial like bypass of the movie, we had about 46 minutes until we actually got to the campsite. So there was a ton of stuff in there, because now it's about 15 or less.
20 minutes maybe?
20?
Yeah, I don't know.
20
It's
minutes?
like, it goes by pretty quick.
Yeah. So it definitely was a matter of pacing as well as kind of redundant information. Because we filmed a ton of car scenes as well that I don't even think made it into the initial cut.
What we would do is
or rough cut that we did.
We would just improvise.
because we had some pretty big travel time between locations, so it would just be, well, let's just shoot something and we'll just try it out. So we would just kind of, each of us would bring ideas into those days, and we would just try things out. Once we got the initial stuff we wanted or we knew we needed, we definitely gave ourselves a lot of time to play around.
And there was also that shot that we're looking at right here. Originally, we were outside of the car, everyone got in and buckled up, and it was just a matter of trimming those moments where I think how it started there. I close my door and then it's like, let's go, and then we go.
Yeah.
Those 5 seconds will save you a bunch if you're cutting those little tiny 5 seconds here and there for your process. A whole bunch.
So we were talking about cutting down car stuff, and what we did was we really cut out a lot of joke moments so that we could leave just the important stuff, which was setting up kind of everyone's character stuff. So like this scene, I know we were talking specifically about how we set up like Zach's expectations, because that's where like the big conflict is between our characters. Because Jordan's kind of along for the ride at this point.
Yeah, I am a cartoon character. I mean, we're all the cartoon characters, I think.
These are not real humans.
We're not real humans, so everything had to be pretty spelled out from the very beginning. Zach just wants a normal trip. Jordan's just there to do whatever. And Ethan wants Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So we just had to make it very obvious in the beginning. Yeah. Because a lot of stuff it was funny that we cut out. A lot of that stuff was funny, but none of it we felt was as funny as the first scene when we're setting up the tent, or maybe not this tent setup, but
just the energy of once we got to the campsite was way better.
Yeah.
So it was just, how do we get there as fast as possible?
And I would say that's us finding our groove and our rhythm.
Oh yeah.
As just actors together and performing this. Which I bet there's a version of this where we go back after we're done shooting and reshoot the beginning. But I kind of like
it's fine.
Yeah, I like the beauty of hey, we took a week, shot it in pretty much chronological order, and that was it.
Yeah. What was so crazy? Just a small anecdote of filming.
The first beverage of the movie.
Was how many stores it took for us to find bags of ice.
Oh yeah.
Portland had a huge heat wave. I think most of the West Coast did.
We were on a heat wave. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we were getting probably 2 weeks before this 116 degree weather, which does not happen in Portland. 190 degrees is hot for us. 116 is crazy.
Yeah.
So ice was this precious commodity. So we were trying to find ice for our coolers, and it was impossible. So most of these drinks we drank during this time were very warm.
This scene specifically. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, they were a little cool, just because they'd been in the cooler for the duration of ever long we'd been driving. But I know the first day we shot they were in the trunk, and it was ridiculous because we didn't have the cooler then. or the ice for the cooler then, and we were just like, you know what, we're just gonna shoot it. That's fine. And it
That was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't that terrible, but
Yeah, I mean, seltzer's great.
Hot water.
But oh my gosh.
Seltzer tea.
That Polar brand,
seltzer tea.
that Polar brand in particular is really delicious.
Yeah.
Excellent. We aren't sponsored, but Polar or Polar water.
Why did we pick Polar?
I think it was cheap.
It was cheap.
Yeah.
We just needed a lot of cheap beverage. Okay, that makes sense.
So we were gonna do LaCroix, I think, but the Polar ones were just cheaper.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Before we move on too fast,
yes.
there's a joke that I love that I had earlier that we had to cut out, but it was like, I think it was after I cracked myself my first beverage. I'm like, I offer one to Zach, and then you're like, Ethan is like, I'll take one, and I'm like, you don't get one because you said we were going to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Hawaiian music montage is very fun.
Free.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this shot. This was
that dude was staring at us.
Yeah.
Pure dumb luck that we ran into that car. That was just like, hey, whip out the camera quick. Let's get that.
Like, fighting to get that shot.
Yeah.
This is great.
Like Grandpa died to this song. That text is just stuck up on our screen because we're reading this with the subtitles.
So all of these shots here, all this driving was not shot during our shoot. Like this was all shot later by Zach. Because luckily, you want to tell what was happening?
Yeah, so I went camping with my family a couple weeks after we had wrapped filming. And I was like, hey, we can get some extra shots out in nature and stuff. And it wasn't necessarily the same type fauna and whatnot, but it was fine.
Yeah, it was close.
And some of that stuff from the highway and stuff in the Columbia Gorge, there's one of the ways you can get to Mount Hood that way, so I thought it was kind of a fun way to be like, hey, this is actually how you drive there.
Yeah.
As opposed to just driving from location to location. Because we didn't actually shoot at Mount Hood.
No, we were actually shooting the opposite direction of Mount Hood.
We were shooting at this guy's house.
Yeah, so we were just out maybe 40 minutes from the city. Portland's great because you don't have to travel far to find woods. So it was pretty easy. And we had access to a great location which you're about to go see. This particular spot is just a little shed, public thing. I don't even know what this is.
A
but
bus stop, maybe?
Kinda, I don't know. But it's just out in the middle of the street, and we just pulled up to it and used it a couple times. And it was very convenient. So it fit in just right for this project, which was really, really great.
Yeah. That's the great thing about woods in Oregon is it all kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
Of course, my dad said different just because he's a botanist. But
when
he watched it, so he was like, well, there's this thing and this thing. And I was like,
well,
Dad,
average
not
person,
that many people are botanists that are watching this film, so it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Then Richard did a fantastic job selling a park ranger. I buy it.
Yeah. We actually shot two different versions of his character.
Ooh, talk about that.
Which was fun because we got on set with him because I think we shot 2 days. One where we shot most of his scenes at that sort of wood Adirondack type thing. But most of we were like, what type of vibe do we want to get from his character? And so we shot one where he was super gung-ho about what we were doing. And then we also shot one where it was just you guys are kind of weird type thing. And so we ultimately, we kind of did a mixture of the two, but it was mostly more of the kind of mysterious, less enthusiastic type version. Of course, there are scenes later where we had shot him with the intention of it being more of the gung-ho version of his character. And we ended up using it in this final take anyways because they were such good scenes. And it ended up playing fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Is this our first tripoded shot? No, wait, no, it's not.
No, because we did the tripods in the room we're actually recording this in.
Yeah.
But we were moving in and out of it. This is the first where it just stays tripoded for a while.
We didn't use any audio recording for this. This is all just from the phone.
Yeah.
And it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. Like,
and it works for the found footage type idea too.
Exactly.
Because it's like if you're getting this footage from like a camera or whatever, it's not then like it's not like these people have mics on them when they're going, because only one person is like really super enthusiastic about filming it.
This
anyway,
might be my favorite shot in the movie. One of my favorite shots.
It's one of the only ones that uses zoom lens on.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's got a little bit of compression.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah, looks really good.
Yeah, I was telling them after we shot this that it was like the perfect still for like if we do a DVD release for like the back of the cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, when we would, so the process of editing this was after we shot, Zach took the footage.
Yes.
And had it and kind of sat on it for a long time and kind of edited on his own. So it'd been a while before Ethan and I had saw any of it,
watched any of it,
saw any of it. And so I remember those first few times we met up to edit, every time I had no idea what would come out of my mouth. I genuinely forgot. And I know this sounds bad, but it cracks me up, some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth.
Oh yeah.
That sounds so egotistical, but like I'm genuinely surprised because I have no memory. I'm like, what am I saying?
No, we were dying.
Because it was like a
watching
solid month after we had filmed, I think, when I showed it to you guys initially.
Yeah. No, the first
This-
walkthroughs were great.
This scene we shot all at once, and it was like a huge long take. Basically from like starting to unpack all the way through, well, in a couple minutes. But we had we kind of cut it up just so it flowed a little better.
Flew by.
What's
the stance on it?
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, this was probably one of my favorite scenes when going through it because it was just like everything just felt so good.
I want to say I had this idea when we were doing the scene, like right before we were going to do this, of me being like, hey, my pants are going to fall down. But I was going to take off my belt before we shot it so my pants would fall down. But I kept my belt on, which is why they aren't coming off. So it looks like I'm actually trying to pull the pants down, which just makes it funnier than if my pants had really fallen down. So that's a little tip. Like, roll the punches if you're improvising, because I wanted to have my pants actually fall down. They did not. So then I tried to get them fall down subtly.
Yeah.
But it did not look subtle, and that just became...
I think there were a couple bits throughout this that were like in the first, like if the later versions made it, in the first versions there were like
mistakes
that would make it that we keep. Like there is one that comes up later where my net gets caught on a branch.
That's right.
While I'm saying like I'm a great adventurer, and then my net gets caught, and I like get caught. And I'm like, oh my god, that's great. So I would do it intentionally afterwards, but it really is great to kind of just let things happen and see how the characters respond. It's great.
This was a big, long take.
Yeah.
In the edit, it's chopped up a little bit because, again, trimming the little bits of fat we don't need. But this was all of these scenes, like from beginning to end, are one take.
Yeah.
Like we press record, we
like
acted out the entire scene, and then usually the scene would end with Ethan going like, "Okay, guys, we're going on to a new place or whatever."
And most of these takes were anywhere from like. Most of these that are like in the campsite were anywhere from like 8 to like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
They were pretty hefty.
There's some long ones when we go hiking too, where we would do we'd walk for like a quarter mile doing a take.
Yeah.
But like this right here, I think when you traded the camera to me, like it was like 20 seconds of me fumbling with the phone.
Yeah.
Which again, we wanted to keep it all in one take for integrity's sake, but ultimately
you didn't need it.
It was
like, you know.
And you want to get to it's you talk about this a lot, Jordan, but it's what jokes do you cut out so that way the really good stuff stands out? Because if you have a bunch of okay jokes and a really good joke, the really good joke doesn't like stand out as much.
Because this scene in particular made us cry laughing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This whole sequence made us laugh when we were watching edit. Nothing before we arrived to the camp made us laugh that hard.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's get rid of all that stuff. Like, let's get down to the bare minimum, and then that way this scene hits a lot.
Because this would have been at minute 45 originally. Or
Yeah,
something like
people
that.
would have been worn out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go butt to back with that. It's always funny, like, especially if you improv a movie. It's one thing if you write down the dialogue and it's all scripted, but it was really surreal being like, what did we say?
I really don't remember most of it. Like, I remember the beats, but I don't remember, like, any of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need dinner yet. It's time to go looking, guys. Come on, let's go.
I will say, as a cinematographer, it was really fun shooting like this, where you're also acting in the scene, have to interact, but also film it. It kind of frees you up because, like, any mistakes, or if I like miss something, it's usually not a big deal.
Yeah.
It makes it just a little easier. The only thing I was really having to be conscious of is there's a house next to us that's later revealed to be Rich's house.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure I didn't get that in the shot too much. There were a couple times it would sneak in, but
like
you don't notice.
Yeah, there are
goodness, it's a log
moments
cabin.
where you can like see things like in this shot particularly. I don't. You probably noticed it already, but there's the chicken coop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's in the background enough,
Yeah,
and it
draw
like
attention.
blends in. It's
Yeah.
fine. So, like nobody. When I watched this with my family when it initially came out because they all wanted to see it, and they didn't notice it until I pointed it out. Being like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there was that thing.
Because you're looking
And they're
at
like,
us.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's all green in the background, green and brown. So of course you're
Yeah.
going to stare at the three guys standing just talking in the middle.
So like if you're like shooting something and you have something in the background that you feel like, oh, this doesn't fit, this is gonna limit what I'm doing. Well, think about it and like maybe film it first and be like, oh hey, maybe this doesn't show up that much, even if you like, as someone who has filmed it, notice it. It may not be as noticeable as you think it is, just because you are more aware of it since you were actually on set,
Yeah.
as opposed to what your audience is going to see in the final product.
Audiences are pretty lax, I feel like, a lot of the time on things like that. This is great.
Well, also, the house and the building, it looked like a cabin. It didn't
Yeah.
look like a house.
Yeah, if it looked really urban, that would have been a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna work. Come on, let's just go look. It's getting dark, like you were saying.
I feel like this is like all my character ever says. It's getting dark. We gotta go look for Bigfoot now before it's too late.
We're very one-dimensional in this movie.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
and that, again, that's the intention. Like, we're not trying to make this serious movie about what it means to be a human. Like, no, we're just...
What does it mean to hunt for
We
Bigfoot?
wanted to make people laugh with these dumb characters. Well, I guess Zach's a smart character in this.
Yeah.
Ethan and I are kind of dummies, but...
Oh, for sure.
Tomorrow, if we have time, go check in at the ranger's office.
It's just really fun watching your character just in the background when he's not involved in the scene.
Me?
Yeah.
Go look for Bigfoot. You promised that once we set up the tent, we'd go look for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go. Come on.
And again, I don't really remember. Like, it was so long. Like, this was in July, early July.
Yeah.
And we finished editing end of September, I think. So,
Yeah. You might be wondering, audience, why we chose to name ourselves like
Oh,
the characters
yeah.
are the same as
Yeah.
us. So Jordan and I, we've been really big fans of Matt Johnson. He's a filmmaker that we got introduced to years and years ago.
when we were in high school.
When we were in high school, and the movie The Dirties came out, which is a really great found footage movie. And in that, they also go by their own names, and also use a TV show called Nirvana the Band the Show. And the whole reason they do that is so when they're improvising scenes, they don't like accidentally call each other the wrong name, because in like a gut reaction, like if I was named Tim, Jordan, or my character's named Tim, Jordan might say Ethan instead, and then we have to redo a whole take.
Yeah.
But with this, you can just keep rolling with it. It doesn't matter. So it's a good tip if you're improving, I guess, or just trying to making stuff with your friends. Then you're not going to make those same simple mistakes that can ruin a take.
Yeah.
Ooh, we found our first bit of potential evidence.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, there was a ton of like molehills and stuff along this path that we were going through, so that made things like when like later on there's a Bigfoot print, and we kind of used the malleability of the dirt from that to make that, which definitely made things easier. As
I like the
opposed to,
different, yeah.
digging things
Yeah.
up.
The difference between this print and the one we find later, I like, because this one I know I put my foot in the dirt, but it was so soft that you can't even really tell. So it definitely like takes away my credibility at this early on.
Yeah.
As like for my character, like it's like, oh, he's just looking for Bigfoot. They're just not real. But when you find the next one, and we took like a good couple minutes to make it look really good, and that I think that was a good move.
Yeah, I was really satisfied with how that one turned out. Because I was kind of concerned because of the way the lighting was at that time of day. I was like, oh, is it going to show up?
It shows up surprisingly.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Jordan's bottomless cargo
this
shorts.
was one of the earliest jokes for us.
I was
Yeah.
when we were editing and kind of when shooting, I was so worried, like, geez, if this beverage thing is not funny, it's gonna annoy so many people.
Yeah.
So I'm
Thank goodness it wasn't.
Yeah.
It sounds like people thought it was funny, and I'm glad, because it's one of those things I'm like, this is so dumb. What makes it funny is the repetition. Like, it's not like that the joke, oh ho ho, Jordan's got a bear. Like, that's not a funny joke. What we thought was funny was like,
That you do it a ton.
is like overload.
Every
Like,
scene you do it at least once.
and I think that's a kind of a fun comedy trick that you
Yeah.
can try in your movies, or
And it makes a fun
Whatever.
drinking game, too.
yeah, like take a
We do not condone such things.
Yeah.
But if
You might die if you try doing a drinking game with Jordan.
so many times. You have 911 on speed dial.
Yeah, but like that's a good trick you can try. Like if you have a mediocre joke, do it like 100 times in a movie or in a scene, and just see if the repetition makes it funnier. Because again, me pulling up I'm cracking open a cold one. That's such an old like
Not funny.
not funny joke like on its own. But the fact that he's just still like doing it by the end of the movie, and like you guys are annoyed at me, is like hilarious.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what we thought. There's probably people who are like, that was dumb.
Yeah.
This scene, I showed this to my family. This scene got a huge laughs, which I wasn't expecting.
Really?
I mean, it's not like I thought it was really unfunny, but I thought it was like, it wasn't like a particularly standout scene to me, but it really made them laugh. Like
Wow.
this one.
I know that.
Well, and it's like it's very much an expositional scene because it sets up later scenes
sure.
where we actually like use these skills.
Like that right there
Yeah.
made people laugh. Like that was a big joke or a
Yeah.
big laugh there.
Jeez, we did not plan that one ahead of time either.
Yeah. No, I remember I almost broke because you said like, "Ow, that hurt," and I was like, "Oh no, did I like actually hurt you?" Like you didn't sound hurt, but I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah.
For like a split second
Glad
there.
you didn't. Nah, it was
Yeah.
all good.
Oh, this one cracks me up every time.
Oh my gosh, that's right. When he
yeah.
this,
Oh my gosh.
because we didn't know. Jordan wouldn't tell us ahead of time when he was gonna
Yeah.
do it, so we wouldn't know. So I didn't know what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
So he'll give me that look that he's giving
So,
me right
yeah.
now, and it's like, oh man, I better. That's like my warning to
Yeah.
make sure I don't laugh.
I wanted my version. So my family said this. After they saw this, they were like, "Jordan, this is just you," which is true. But I was channeling really hard Norm Macdonald, because he's one of my favorite comedians, and he does this thing. When you see him in interviews, he has like this mischievous smile before he tells a joke. Like he knows it's funny,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like he doesn't care. Like he can make a terrible joke funny, like the way he said it, because like he was so amused at it. Like, and I wanted to channel a little bit of that when we were shooting this. So like I'm smiling so much during the movie,
Yeah.
and it's because of like watching Norm Macdonald stuff, because like just how he delivered jokes a whole bunch is just like that. Always mischievous smile, like you never knew it was going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And like you didn't necessarily want to know, because you're like, oh gosh, what's he gonna say? So either bring about Hawaii or beverages, one of those two.
I think your lei that you're wearing just makes it 10 times more like you're 10 times out of place
Yeah.
in any scene.
Yeah,
Because Zach and I at least somewhat look the part.
I love that line. Yeah, that sounded like a sex tape. That's such a good line.
my. Yeah, I remember there was a few times in this movie where I was like, oh, yeah. I have, like, an idea, like that line. And then I'm like, is this gonna be okay? And I was like, do I need to censor myself? But I was like, okay, we'll do it just in case, and worst case scenario, if I say something really bad, we'll just cut it down, because I'm like, I don't want this to be a dirty movie.
Yeah.
Well, we're pretty, like...
It's very, like, juvenile humor.
Yeah, it stays relatively wholesome for the most part. Like, I'd put it's more mild than Goonies.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
this would have been PG in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing... We wanted a really wholesome movie.
Yeah.
Which we just thought is... I don't know. There's not enough, like, funny comedies that are, like...
Still...
Like, a lot of them rely on, like...
Raunchiness.
Vulgarity,
Yeah.
which I love that stuff.
No, it's fine.
Like, I have nothing wrong with it. I love it too, but I think it can be a little more creative when it's like, okay, let's take out all of that and you just have weird people.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
We're looking at it right now.
Yeah. And this was all one take from when we were seeing
Walking
the
up
footprint.
walking up the hill.
Seeing the footprint to now. This was all one take. Again,
Yeah.
we just chopped it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Bigfoot,
Bigfoot
calls.
calls. I love the
Oh,
Bigfoot
my.
calls.
Yeah.
These got big laughs when I showed it to
Oh,
my
yeah.
family. Yeah.
Good.
The
Same
calls.
with mine.
Again, because we
Yeah.
were so used to I didn't know what would stand out.
Yeah.
But they worked.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that's just, like, so over-the-top absurd. It's just, like...
Well, I
especially, like...
Yeah.
Like, if it's, like Ethan, the other Ethan, my little brother.
Yeah.
The one that everybody thinks is fake in the credits when we get to that. But, he definitely cracked up. Because he never seen you that way.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what is happening?
Well, I didn't practice Bigfoot calls ahead of time. So I didn't know what would come out of my mouth each take. It was one of those things where I would surprise myself because I didn't do anything. And I was just like, oh yeah, that one sounds all right. I'll keep doing that one for the next take. But then I'd try and vary up the ones I didn't like as much. But these little chirps, I guess, I really like. Those ones are pretty funny.
Oh, story time.
Oh, gosh.
So when we filmed, we actually were carrying those hot dogs around,
Oh.
and we were gonna eat them in the scene.
Yeah. That was our dinner.
That was our dinner for that filming day, and we ate those after we filmed all these scenes of taking these hot dogs around.
So they were like... They were
room
not
temp.
cold.
Y'all-
They were not...
You guys had
Well,
like one or two, right?
I probably had
Yeah,
three
I
at
think
most.
I had
Three?
2 or 3. I don't remember.
I was thinking, well, dang, these are a lot of hot dogs. I don't want to
We
let
bought
them go.
18.
Oh my gosh.
I saw
18 packs.
So I feel comfortable saying I probably ate somewhere between 8 and 10 hot dogs.
Yeah.
I think somewhere in there, that ballpark, and I had the worst diarrhea of my life. I think I like it was one of those times where like I was gonna throw up, and then I was having diarrhea at the same time,
Oof.
and it was like, it was bad. And so then I showed up to filming the next day in the morning, and I just got my sunglasses on, and I'm like, so did anyone else have violent diarrhea? You guys are like, no, and I'm like, me
what?
neither.
Oh my.
I remember when we'd be editing this later, every time you'd eat a hot dog, you'd be like, Jordan, stop.
Yeah.
No more.
The Flash going back in time. Don't do it.
Yeah.
The hot dogs are the key.
Yeah, I know, really.
This was a fun scene. I like this. This
Yeah.
first big conflict, it was fun to shoot.
How am I supposed to do this on my own?
Nice.
Yeah, and from here it's just going back
So somber.
to the camp. Oh wait, no, that's
No,
right. We go to the...
get,
Oh yeah.
our
th-
side
this
quest.
scene, oh my gosh.
Favorite line in the entire
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
I think. This is
This-
my favorite line.
This
My dad did not laugh that much in this film. But this line, he was cracking up for like a solid 30 seconds.
My
It was
dad doesn't
crazy.
think I'm very funny, if I'm honest, but no, I'm just kidding.
It's not that, he just doesn't laugh at movies
no.
as much as I do, which is fine. But this one really got him for some reason.
It got us.
It
I
got
don't
all
know,
of us.
Yeah,
we were
oh
in
my
shock when
goodness.
it happened.
No.
Yeah, no, we are so lucky that we did not just absolutely lose it during this take.
We couldn't have retooken this. They couldn't have done it again.
There was no way we were going to recreate it. It was... Oh
We're
my
referring
gosh.
to the cougar line.
Yeah.
The
Just so
older
you know.
women.
Yeah.
And it was one of those brilliant, like, we're all actors, we're in the moment, and it just came out, because that's what my guy would have said. And
But none
I
of
didn't
us,
know what to say after, because
None of
Yeah.
us did.
but no one else did. And then
And
after,
Richard
like,
just pauses for like a solid 5 seconds, just like, son.
and so right after...
There it is.
Yeah.
Not really an older one. Son.
Yeah.
That head shake up. I don't know what to say.
Right after that
what?
handshake,
We
cried
lost
laughing.
it. Yeah.
Lost
We
it.
died.
Yeah, so that's why the scene doesn't go on, because we love that line so much. And that was your choice, Zach. You cut from that line to the campsite,
Which was
Yeah.
brilliant.
which was such a
Brilliant.
great choice, because we were like, oh geez, how are we going to wrap up that scene? But you were like, let's just cut out the end.
Which
Yeah.
was the right move.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to show the beginning and ends.
Yeah.
You just do the scene, move on, keep momentum.
Yeah, I know. We did that with the pop farm joke at the very beginning too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these hot dogs.
Yeah,
I know.
It's just
I'm
like,
like, stop.
beware the squirts.
I was coming up with this ghost story on the fly.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea where this was going.
No, I remember when when we were watching the rough cut. I remember you saying, "Oh no, where is this going?" Because you had completely forgotten.
But I do remember now, like, filming this and being like, oh no, where is this story going? I have no idea where this is going.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna keep talking.
Yeah, that's to show how little preparation we go into each scene with. I think like
Yeah.
we did not have like a plan in terms of dialogue. We just knew where it was going to start and where it was going to end, and the middle was so fluid.
Uh-huh.
Which was the fun part of it too, though, because then we all had to kind of stay on our toes and
Yeah.
just give our best for each bit. It was great.
Right there on the floor was a poop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, the thing that really cracked me up in this scene was when you talk about the implications.
The implications are what make
It was
it
like,
funny.
oh my gosh.
Because it's not a funny thing.
No.
Yeah, it's
but
just
when
like,
you break-
this is absurd. And then it's just like, you guys don't realize the implications of
It's
this.
the humor
just like-
of telling, like,
Yeah.
explaining the joke.
Yeah.
A madman broke into the house just to poop on the floor.
Or
Or George did it and he forgot.
Which are
Three
like
very terrifying
which
implications.
is genuinely true. If you walk into your house and there's poop on the floor, and you don't live with anyone, it's a ghost, it's a madman, or you did it and you forgot.
Yeah.
There's no, and it's like when you stop to think that is actually hilarious. And
True, I
smart.
guess. True, I guess, is the response for that.
Might I say, I think there
this
was
scene.
the soda cracks were all like
These are all real.
all real. They
We
were
didn't
me.
add sound effects.
Those were me opening the sodas each time for real.
Yeah.
This scene was longer in the initial
You
cut,
pee
too.
on the tent after this.
That's
So
right.
this
Ah,
is based
that's
on a
right.
true story.
Yes.
Because one time Jordan and I were camping with a group of friends, and in the middle of the night, I'm asleep.
Oh,
and all of a s-
we
okay.
were sharing a mattress.
We were sharing an air mattress.
and we sunk to the middle.
Yeah, because it like
And-
deflated overnight.
And I was in the middle.
yeah.
And I had to crawl over you to get to the door.
To go
And I'm
back,
trying to
yeah.
be careful, and I'm crawling over you, but then you wake up right as I'm on top of you. And we just are looking at each other.
Eyes locked. And of course, there's like no way to show this for when we were filming
Yeah.
this particular thing, but we tried to like keep the spirit of that. So Jordan's like
Yeah.
gets up and
Yeah.
then goes outside. We both go to the bathroom, but that bit was cut because it just went on forever. So
Yeah,
when
if-
Jordan's
if-
spooning me when we wake up earlier, that's a nod to that too, because that's pretty much how we woke up each time on that camping trip, was because the air mattress just forced us into each other.
But we're not on an air mattress. We're just on the
We're
ground.
just on the ground. But your character would do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Needs that warmth.
Got it. It's like Hawaii.
Yeah.
looking forward to most today?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Zach-
I'm just
Yeah.
remembering what happens next. That's
Yeah.
what's so fun about watching this is like forgetting.
Zach was definitely the most prepared fashion-wise for this movie.
Oh, for sure.
I
We
think
were
I was
cold.
well, you were prepared except for your sandals.
Yeah, I went barefoot. Well, I wanted to go barefoot because Bigfoot enthusiasts would go barefoot because I want to show my feet. But I didn't want to do that, so I wore sandals.
And
That's
I
the next
was-
best.
Tarantino nod for you.
Yeah. The food is.
Yeah.
Jordan moved
Jordan's
so
suddenly like
quick.
just like bam.
And I think
He's
okay,
gone.
a lesson in comedy too. Again, you're never going to be funny if you're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Which sometimes maybe we felt like that in some of these scenes.
Yeah.
But I think that moment of me, like, that wasn't me thinking, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
this is going to be a really funny joke. That was
It
me
was
going,
more like your character
drama.
would do that.
that's my character.
Yeah.
My character thought that his drinks were going to be gone. He would rush out there as quick as he could.
yeah.
And
The second he knows the drinks are okay, it's fine.
It's
Even
all
if
fine.
everything else is ruined, it's fine.
so that's a good comedy tip if you're making a funny movie. Like, don't try to be funny. Just stay true to the characters.
Yeah.
And again, our characters are cartoonish and one-dimensional, which, you know,
Makes it
there's
easier in a lot of ways.
makes it
True,
easier,
yeah.
makes it, some might say lazier, but hey, it's still like, stay true to the character, and that's how you're gonna be funny. Because if you try to be funny, I mean, I bet there's takes that we did where we were trying to be funny and they just weren't working as well.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sure there
Some
were.
of the
yeah.
earlier days of filming, I know there was definitely we had to talk about just like not intentionally like not trying to one up each other with
Yeah.
jokes, like just like it wasn't a competition to be who was the funniest in the scene. It was just how do we tell the story. Once we kind of got into that rhythm, I think
Yeah.
filming got easier,
Yeah.
and I think the scenes felt a lot more genuine, and that let jokes just be funny on their own and not like again
Yeah.
cram them down the audience's throat.
And it was more of like, where is the focus when trying to shoot this scene? It's like, we want to further the story first and foremost.
Yeah.
And if we get jokes in there, that's great, and that adds to kind of the general vibe of the film and stuff like that.
And
Makes
the-
it fun. So.
The dynamic of the group too, because
Yeah.
Ethan's whole thing is he wants to go find Sasquatch,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, that's where the humor comes from, because that's all he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Zach just wants a normal trip, so he's like he's the straight guy in the joke.
Yeah.
And then I'm supposed to be random, but that randomness is just like centered around Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
or beverages.
Yeah, you're kind of like the wild card or loose cannon in this group.
But still,
There's
there was
just like, what is he gonna do next?
But still, I wasn't just doing random stuff to be random. It was all about Hawaii or like beverages.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, I think in this scene, I kind of interrupt you guys and I go, guys, I'm sorry. I think this was my fault.
Yeah.
Which is really random, and it's like 2 minutes after we've already covered whose fault it was, but like...
But you wouldn't
But
acknowledge
it's like
it, so
that's where his character's mind is at right now, because like he's not worried about it. He's got his beverage.
it wouldn't have been funny if I just suddenly went like, hey, did you know that squirrels sometimes poop and they poop on birds and blah, blah, and that wouldn't have been funny.
yeah.
Or
No.
as funny, I should say. Maybe that would have been funny, but
Maybe.
I don't think it would. I think what makes it funnier is like that he's so behind in the conversation, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I should probably apologize."
Yeah.
See, this is the good-looking footprint
Yeah.
that is just. I look at that and I'm like, dang, we made that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good footprint.
I mean, what else could that be?
An NBA player.
Yeah.
Again, my character's really
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
But
wouldn't
you're
have,
like, right? I guess.
it wouldn't have been again. It wouldn't have been funny if I was like, "Well, what if it was an old lady who had these really big shoes and she blah 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 like that?" Again,
Just
that
let
wouldn't
it
be funny.
pass.
Yeah.
You like, it's in and out.
Where does
You
this
just-
dummy's
yeah.
head go first? Who has big feet? Basketball players.
Yeah.
So,
You think you're being helpful.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
If
I
you can
think-
trace the character's line of thought as the audience, I think that's what makes it
Yeah.
believable.
Yeah.
And like, and make it work for a scene, no matter if it's random.
Yeah.
Like your character, again, it's like it's authentic.
Yeah. It's definitely
So we should
Yeah.
go that way.
character should come first in comedy, I think. So I think some of the comedies that I don't respond to as much are ones where the writers are supposed to be are trying to be really clever and like be really funny and not paying as much attention to the jokes,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, again, if it's fun, ultimately at the end of the day, if it's funny, it's funny. But
Yeah.
the stuff I love is like where it feels like it comes from a real place.
Yeah, there was another one of those hard cuts there where it's just like the beginning, it's just like all jazz, and then it's just like
You know
cut
right
to
away.
like however many minutes later when it's just like oh
Yeah,
The visual momentum tells you that things aren't working out for me.
yeah.
yeah.
You know what? Let's just keep heading down the trail a little ways.
This stuff was cut down quite a bit too. There was a lot of
We
argument
talk.
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of talking, and that was about finding okay, what does Zach want? What does Ethan want? How do we show that? Pretty much. That was really
Yeah.
what it came down to.
Each cut in the scene probably takes out like at least a minute of
Yeah.
dialogue.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Some way more.
You can't deny that is something that is out here, okay?
And sometimes too, I don't say anything here. Like, cause you ask me a question and I just like go. "Ugh."
Yeah.
I genuinely couldn't think of anything to say.
Yeah. But it works.
Yeah.
with the character in that moment because it's just like
So again, if you're improvising and you get
yep,
stuck,
right there.
just roll
Yeah.
with
Yeah. see,
Yeah, just
see, you taking it back though from him, taking back the moment worked so good.
it. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, I think these are one of those days where we'd found the groove of what we were trying to do, and it's so fun because once you hit that, it's like the scenes fly by.
Yeah.
Like some of these takes were like, again, like 10, 12 minutes, and they did not feel like it when we were doing them.
Yeah.
There's the house.
There's no, that's
Or
that's still the
the
boss.
shed. That's the shed. You
peeks
see
in
the house
corner over there.
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah.
can see it there. Yeah.
But again, you just don't. No one's looking for it. They don't see it, even though it's blatant.
It's
I
like
love how in 2 movies my car is very unreliable
yeah,
because
yeah.
in real life my car was very unreliable.
This is a Video Carnage car that May drives, or Sam, the character Sam, they drive. That gets stalled at the very end of the movie. A little bit.
My car has been repaired since, so now it is much more reliable.
Nice.
Thank goodness.
Nice.
Jordan's just face.
I got that from
Just
a
like,
kid.
Oh.
There was a kid I worked with at an elementary school. Whenever you told him to do anything, because he would get distracted, he would be like, "Hey, it's time to go draw now, or it's time to do math work," and he'd be kind of wandering around. Anytime you told him to do anything, he would open his eyes and his mouth really wide and just stand there frozen, as if he was shocked every single time, and it was so funny. But he did that for everything. Hey, it's time for lunch. Hey, it's we're gonna go to gym now. It's like, what are you doing?
That's awesome.
Kids are hilarious. They're a great source for kind of like ideas.
Yeah.
The text. I'm just looking at the.
You call me Ethaniel.
Oh
Do
yeah.
I say Ethaniel or
You say
Nathaniel?
it's-
Nathaniel,
You say
yeah.
Ethaniel.
Okay.
I think it just corrects wrong in the text, but
Yeah, in the subtitles, I was just seeing there's that line where I'm like kind of mocking Ethan about his net or whatever. It's just like there's like fishing for squirrels, but it like corrected
it's
to
a
like
weed.
squirrel weed, and I'm like, what?
Wild Boys: The Hunt for Squirrelweed is the next movie.
Oh no.
That movie's gonna be nuts.
Oh, this
Oh,
scene! Oh
okay.
my god.
Zach, talk about this.
Okay, so this was a scene idea that we had early on when we were, well, not like super early on, but like early on when we were brainstorming. We were like, okay, what's like something ridiculous? Because we had to have a way that's like, okay, we don't have food anymore, which leads to further conflict in the story and stuff like that. But it's like, we already introduced the ranger is there. So, and it's like, it would make sense that the ranger would have food on him. So it's like, okay, how do we make this work? And so we came up with this like absolutely ridiculous food that you like nobody in their right mind would eat. Just and yet I felt so bad for Richard, but at the same time he's just gobbling this stuff down.
We gave him the plate. We said, you
Yeah.
do not have to eat this if you do not want to.
You can have like the tiniest bite. You can have nothing, but literally whatever you want. And he was being the most dedicated actor eating.
And we did like
gallons of
6
this.
takes of this. Because we did like 3 of him in each version of the character. Because we still at that point hadn't decided which version of the character we wanted in the final version of the movie. And so this
one's the most like blatant. That's why this take
Yeah.
made it in, because it's so blatant that he's actually eating it, and he's eating tons.
Yeah,
Unlike
it was
in-
so nasty.
Unlike in Oh Brother, where I swapped out the mayo for whipped cream, this was the
This
real
was
mayonnaise.
real
There's no
shoyu, mayonnaise, saltine. Oh,
And the first take, if
gosh.
you watch the first take we did, we were in utter shock. No one
Yeah.
says anything. We're just watching Rich eat. We were
Just
so
like-
shocked.
That's right.
It was, oh my gosh. Yeah.
And we told him afterwards, like, you don't have to do it. He's like, oh, it's fine. It's not that
He
bad.
was like, I've had
Yeah.
worse.
I'm like, I'm not a picky eater, but I'll draw the line at saltines, mayonnaise, and shoyu.
And there was going to be anchovies, I think, on it too.
That's
or something, but
right.
we forgot.
Oh
we
my
forgot
gosh. Yeah.
it. We could have killed that man.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
It's okay. We bought him pizza for the last day of filming to make it
Yeah.
up to him.
Music? What
Wait,
music
when
is
was
in
the
this
music
scene?
in this scene? I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
we're reading the
think it's-
subtitles.
Yeah.
not the subtitles.
I think some sounds it hears, like it was saying music for some of my Bigfoot calls. I think some sounds it hears it can't interpret. It just assumes they're music.
There's some Cardi B noises.
Oh, yeah. This line.
As the
I was
whole
like,
line is
what
deep.
are you going to say next?
Live off the land.
Yeah.
Crack.
Yeah.
The crack.
Hard cut to
Good.
candy flour.
A good
the-
punctuation.
The cold cracking cans became kind of like the snare hit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And there was actually like a ton of this stuff actually there, the candy flour.
Yeah,
And this
we
stuff
ate
is
this.
actually edible in real life. I doubt you can probably, most people probably can't identify it from the film, so please don't just go around eating stuff that looks like that in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
But
we
did
only
eat it.
did it because Zach knew what he was talking
Yeah.
about.
it helps being a Boy Scout and having a dad as a botanist.
See, that's why he fit in very well in this role.
Yeah.
He was like, he could have handed me just about anything and been like, eat it. And I've been like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, there were a couple scenes in this film where I like pull from real life experience. Like there was a reference to earlier when the cooler's broken into, and I talk about a raccoon getting into the cooler and stuff. And like that's a true story from like my first Boy Scout camping trip back when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. Wow, that's a long time ago. Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those moments that was like so absurd that it's like it sticks with you, and then like later on it's just like, hey, I'm making a movie, this could fit in.
Yeah.
So that's a fun little Easter egg there for you.
Good inspiration from real life.
Oh yeah, this
The
scene, this
hunting.
was, yeah, we definitely filmed quite a bit of this where it was a lot of standing around, so it
Yeah.
definitely is cut down a whole bunch. But this thing really freaked me out because I was like, I don't want to break my knife. Because this is a real knife that I threw there. So it's like, if I mess up, I don't want to mess... I don't want to mess this up because I'm going to hurt myself. But so I was like really cautious. So this was probably like... I say don't do this at home. I probably shouldn't even have done that, but
Yeah.
it worked out fine.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Come on, guys.
The Lunchable Scene.
Oh yeah.
Lunchables.
Right? Is that what's
Yep.
coming up?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna get through. Couldn't really find any food. But
Yeah, this was another
that's okay.
scene that we kind of came up with that was just like absolutely absurd. That was just like, what? And, but it like still is like kind of a nod to like there's someone else out here type of a thing.
Yeah. Kind of plants the seed of what's to come.
Let's just go to bed.
It's the
And
weird.
yeah, and this is kind of where we really start picking up on the conflicts between the characters, and before, well, the midpoint is the very next scene, where things kind of, some things are resolved and a whole bunch more questions become
Yeah.
a thing, but and we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, this one,
I don't know how we
I don't even
landed on
remember how we
this.
landed. on- Yeah,
On this Lunchable thing?
yeah.
Like, was it just a... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even remember how we came
It's
up
one of
with
those
this.
really
It's just
funky
like,
ones where it's like, oh,
it's just like, where did this come from? Okay.
it doesn't not
Um,
fit. It's just very interesting.
I think we were like, they needed a reason to stay, but not leave. Because if there was truly no food, they probably would have left. But they needed a reason, like, hey, I guess we have some food.
That's true.
I think.
That sounds right.
I think that was kind of the logic behind it.
That's a good shot.
Yeah.
I like that. That's well lit. Good job. Us.
And this is like really where you see kind of the extremism, I could say, of Ethan's character, where it's like he's so very committed to like.
This is probably the worst thing I do with the character.
It's just like, this is so mean, just taking away other people's food. And it's like, we kind of hint at it earlier with the hot dogs and stuff, but this is where it just crosses the line.
100%.
People did not care for Ethan's character.
Yeah.
Which is the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a good friend in this movie. Maybe in future installments I'll be a bit better. But in this one, like, you should not be what I am in this. And I think my character learns that by the end.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get to the end, we have that,
I think there's definitely
Disney
character.
Channel ending.
Yeah. And you definitely see that character growth coming in. But before we get to that, we can talk about this scene. This was so much fun. We shot this in 2 parts.
Yes, we did.
We shot this initial thing, and then when we cut out of the tent, we shot that on our final day of filming.
Yeah, so when you actually see Bigfoot out there, that was shot entirely separate with Marcus, our Bigfoot wrangler.
Because we knew he would only be there. We didn't want to have to ask him to come back.
Just for this little thing,
Yeah. And so we intentionally blurred down the image.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shot was a lot of finesse.
There was blur.
Because it's like, you want it to be obvious that there's a creature there that looks like Bigfoot, but we don't want it to be like a full-on, like, bam, here's a Bigfoot costume type thing. Yeah. We pulled some inspiration from, at least when thinking about this film, or this specific scene, from the Wampa in Empire Strikes Back, in the initial theatrical release of that film back in 1980, where it's just like, for those of you who haven't seen that, some of the younger viewers maybe, that it's, you never see the full creature. Oh yeah, the shot.
I love this. It's such a good reveal.
But it's just like, oh, there's an arm, oh, there's a leg.
The caterpillar from Bug's Life.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, we definitely didn't want to show the full thing until the very end. And that kind of adds to the suspense a little bit of the whole, is it real, is it not type of a thing, which comes up later.
But it definitely, when you're watching this as the audience, like, you're like, oh shoot.
And it works because it's like, we shot a lot of him like walking around the car and stuff like that, but it's very brief because we wanted it to be like super quick, kind of like an oh shoot moment, and then just, and it very much like oh, they see it and then they run back type of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, here in this scene, we're very much.
You're like
most
shaking.
Yeah, no, literally in the script the script meant. Jordan just had it down as Zach is shooketh.
Yes. You sell it very well.
And so this is kind of where it's like, oh shoot, maybe this stuff is actually real type of a thing. At least for my character anyways. And that's kind of where you see kind of a shift in my behavior as a character.
And I'm justified now in all my actions, so I'm driving the ship truly now.
Mm-hmm. And so here's kind of like, okay, now we've seen it, now we definitely have to do something about it type of a thing from Ethan's character, and we're kind of like, okay.
I'm confident that we can catch it in time, so that's why I put the time constraint, because it's like, he's here in our camp, we're going to find him. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my mind. But is he correct? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a side thing. I was on TikTok the other day, and Jack Black posted a video, and he has the same Sasquatch shirt as me.
Oh, nice.
That blue one?
The blue one, yeah.
It's great.
So now I'm very proud to own it. This Is this that really long take?
Yeah, this one was originally. I would.
We cut the first
5
half
minutes.
of
I would say if it's 5 minutes longer, there's a whole beginning to
Yeah,
this.
we basically walked
we cut
across like a
halfway.
solid third of Richard's property.
it. Yeah.
This was like...
This is halfway through it. We're
Yeah.
starting in.
Which is a good screenwriting and editing trick. Start late,
Yeah.
leave early.
Yeah. It leaves the audience wanting more.
Yeah. And again,
but also,
momentum.
helps with the pacing and stuff like that.
You do not want your audience getting bored in a scene. That's the last
Yeah.
thing you want. So give them what's crucial and get on with it.
Oh, yeah, car sick Bigfoot.
You know, I don't think we have ever done a found footage movie before, have
No,
we?
no, not at all.
We've done fake documentaries, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
But this was really supposed to be like, it's just footage from...
Yeah.
This is Blair
I guess-
Witch.
Yeah, that was like our main inspiration for like how the style we wanted to approach was very much Blair Witch.
I love this, the fake out with the walking stick.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great fake out.
Yeah, because I completely forgot that was there too. So when I was going through and doing the rough cut, it was, I was like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "Oh."
And what was funny is because in our heads too about this, we were like, we keep saying river in the script, or not in the
That's
script,
right.
in the
Yeah.
movie. We keep saying river. We should actually go to a river,
Oh.
and we never
Yeah.
did. And that kind of made this the joke because Ethan kept referring to this little creek as a river.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did shoot some stuff when I was camping at an actual river
Yeah.
to like input, but it didn't really fit with the flow, and it was kind of wonky.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll ever make it into whatever an extended version or whatever. I doubt it, but it was ridiculous. But it was like, hey, there's an actual river here, so.
Yeah.
They remember how to do them. Remember the Bigfoot mating calls I taught you?
Maiden calls, the subtitles
Yeah.
say.
Give me your best go.
Oh yeah, so here's kind of where my character kind of starts accepting,
Sexy.
like, oh
Think
yeah, this
sexy gorilla.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
You gotta deliver for this, all right? Give me your best shot.
Because now I'm like actually starting to buy into some of this stuff. And then there's oh gosh,
I've won you over.
and then Jordan,
Okay, that's pretty good. Where are you
oh,
going with that? Jordan, your turn.
just the kitten coming back.
Another
just
beverage.
going for the beverage. Oh my
I
gosh.
spent a lot of money on just drinks that week because
You were hydrated.
I
Yeah.
was my belly was sloshing around that whole week. It was
Yeah.
because we would go. We ran out of drinks very quickly after the first 2 days because we didn't actually drink a lot of the drinks on the first day.
No.
So then for the next day, I would go to the store in the morning. I'd get a pack of the beverages and then I'd go get a pack of ice because I was not going to drink cold beverage or warm
Yeah.
beverages.
Yeah.
And that was it every day. So, but
You probably drank more than you ate.
yeah, which is why my legs look the way they do in a certain scene. I think we'll point it out when we get there. Or I guess like my legs and arms. I think.
Yeah.
But,
Do you guys hear anything?
yeah, I was hydrated. Probably too much. Because it's not like I was drinking it and then I would just spit it out right after the
Yeah,
take.
you were just. You were just doing it.
More of the Bigfoot noises.
What gender is Bigfoot again?
Oh yeah, this whole conversation. Oh man.
I like this.
Which is
Yeah,
which is
and this
true.
came up. Yeah, and I think this came up like behind the scenes before we shot this, and then we were just like, okay, let's just roll with it, and we
Yeah.
went with it. Because I think we came up with this scene actually on set. This wasn't in our script, man. I don't think, or was it? I don't remember.
It was probably really broad, and we just kind of narrowed it into
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, but we think of Bigfoot as a guy usually, but it could be a lady, it could be something else.
So we gotta do the lady calls.
Might not have a. No one know like
Yeah.
if Bigfoot exists. Actually, what are your two opinions? What are our real opinions on Bigfoot?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do we think?
All right. Oh, man.
We're getting deep now.
Yeah. I do not think Sasquatch roams the earth. There were large hominids at a time on Earth's history, but they are no more.
So you believe they did exist at one point?
Yeah,
creatures?
guaranteed there
Yeah.
were large humanoid apes. But no, they do not exist anymore. There is no Sasquatch. I do not believe. I would love to be proved wrong,
Yeah.
but I do not believe it.
Zach?
As for myself, I would say I would have to agree with Ethan. That being said, here comes the but. I have seen some things in preparation for shooting this movie. I was curious, so I looked at some things,
did some
documentaries
research.
and stuff that people had done, trying to prove or disprove Bigfoot and stuff like that, and people that went along and were like, "Oh, I want to figure this out," type thing. And there was some stuff that was filmed up in Canada, I think kind of near Alberta, and there was stuff where it's there are trees, huge tree stumps in the ground that have been turned upside down and stabbed into the ground, almost like markers. And so that really was ooh, that's interesting, because it's too big for a normal human to pick up, and why would you bring out something big just to haul that out? So I was good on you, Bigfoot believers. You got something there that's not explainable.
There was a creepy video I saw actually just this week on Bigfoot that was this night, one of those trail cameras that people put out in their properties.
Yeah.
And there was these two deer that were kind of so it was these two deers in the foreground, and in the back there was this cluster of trees that were pretty tall. And then the deers were kind of eating, being normal, and they saw something in between these two trees, and that spooked them and they left. And then it cut to daytime, a couple hours had passed and it was morning, and then all of a sudden you see this shape that's behind the trees that's tall, probably 7 to 8 feet tall, and it is kind of swaying, and then it kind of lumbers out and behind and moves away. You don't see ever what it is. It's blocked by these two large trees, but
there's something.
there's
there.
something that's ooh, it kind of gives you that creepy feeling in your gut of well, what was that? I can't place what that is.
See, I'll be the odd one. Well, I won't even go. I believe that there are creatures that we are not aware of that exist right now.
Oh,
Sure.
for sure.
I don't know if it's Bigfoot, but I believe there are creatures that are out there in the woods that we, kind of in the deep water, we have no idea of their existence or whatever have you.
Well, I think statistically, I think scientists think we've only discovered a tiny portion of what's currently living on Earth.
So
it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
So whether or not it's Bigfoot, I don't know. I'm not going to say, but I do think there are things we're not aware of that are on Earth.
No.
And this is the scene in which
oh my
all of my veins are popping for whatever reason. Look at my legs in particular. If you haven't, go back and watch. I'm very veiny in this scene. And I think it was because it was at the tail end of filming.
Hydrated.
I generally wouldn't eat breakfast before filming because I knew I'd be drinking a whole bunch of water.
Yeah.
So, and we would film for a bit, and then I'd maybe have lunch. I wouldn't eat a whole bunch during the week just because I was busy or whatever. And so I was pretty much running on just fluids that week. And I don't know enough about nutrition to say, but I think it's because I was just drinking water that week.
This sounds believable to me.
Yeah, this scene went on for so long.
Oh,
We did so many little things.
Yeah.
And you were just ranting.
You guys were just no one told me to stop, so I just kept going.
Well, it was all funny.
It was so funny when we were trimming it down, because initially in the rough cut, I just had the whole thing there, where he's just ranting on and on and on. Yeah, this is a true testament to Jordan's improv abilities, because you don't run out of anything to say in this scene.
It took
It's
5
crazy.
minutes.
And we decided to just cut it up out of context. You don't have context for a lot of after he closes the thing, you're just hearing random phrases, kind of just to show that time passes. But that was really just done to be like, well, let's see what would happen if we just took it all out of context.
I can totally see
Yeah.
myself struggling right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
breaking.
There were parts that we cut out of this particular take. I know that where you had cracked a couple of times. I probably cracked once or twice. It's harder to see just because I'm on the floor.
Yeah, you
But-
got lucky. That's why I started putting my head down.
Yeah. Just putting that hat on display. That hat, man.
Zach wants to go to this school, so I will tell him about this school.
Yeah.
I was talking about how I discovered like an art college that you wanted to go to, and I told
Yeah.
you about it, and you wanted to go, but we just
We just put that
cut
in
the
there.
context all out.
Yeah, and so we kind of played with the exposure and kind of the color tones in this in post, but this scene was actually shot at night because I mean it had to be.
Yeah.
So that was where there was the real shift. But most of that was shot like late afternoon,
And we just
early evening.
Tinted it blue and brought the exposure down. Yeah,
It works.
works great.
Yeah, but this I think was this the last day?
Yeah, this was.
Yeah.
Because we filmed with Marcus and Rich first to get their stuff,
And then
and
we
then after they left, we shot at night
Yeah.
because it had to be night to shoot all this stuff.
yeah, so this was like the second to last scene we did, I think. Excuse me. But yeah, so here's where
Things get real.
Yeah, the abduction scene. And so this is,
Jordan?
yeah, I don't really remember what
This
else.
is this is where we go kind of full Blair Witch almost.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, here's the ropes.
Where's
He's
Jordan?
gone. You see, like, I walked over some of the grass earlier to make it matted to look kind of like he was dragged off. Which is not super noticeable since it's dark, but it was a nice touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some cool shots in the dark with just like our flashlights, and we're just standing out here. So it kind of gives like third act of Blair Witch type vibes. If you haven't seen that movie, it's spectacular in my opinion. Go watch it. But
It's probably like the best found footage horror movie.
oh yeah,
I would say probably.
Definitely a template
It's
for
up
us when we
there.
came up with this.
It's,
Oh,
it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
You don't think he actually got eaten?
Yeah, it's a really good one. And like it, I mean, we follow that formula pretty much. Like
we
that's,
even pulled from that for the trailer when
Yeah.
we cut that.
Yeah.
That was your idea,
the,
Jordan.
the
yeah.
trailer was cut to the Blair Witch Project pretty much. I mean, it is different overall, but I was going to at one point like literally just take each shot from the trailer and just try to make it similar and use the same like text, but ours is a little shorter, but we didn't need a 2-minute trailer.
And so this is the final scene we shot, which is where
We're to leave it. Yeah. We
the
were
ranger
leaving.
is missing, and we're like looking around, and this is kind of where we see a shift in my character, where it's just like nothing is working, and I'm just panicking like straight up outright.
You're
Yeah.
completely out of your comfort zone.
And so yeah, we go back to the car, and this is where we get like this is the height of the conflict basically
This is where we
between
get
Ethan
our
and I's
anger out.
character.
We
Yeah.
get on the same page again.
This is the main scene. This could not
resolve.
be PG.
Yeah. Fight.
Yeah. And that turned out really well for having shot that
Yeah.
just handheld with you there. So
I'm there
Shaky
on the
cam.
sidelines just watching.
yeah.
Like I'm literally just sitting there in the darkness trying to avoid the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is our most actory scene for us too.
Yeah. And so we pulled from a couple takes here actually.
Yeah, 'cause there's two different versions.
One of the secrets of this film is that it's dark, and so we shot it a couple different ways. One where Ethan was in the driver's seat, one where I was in the driver's seat. But the main take when I enter is that I'm in the driver's seat because I'm kind of taking control of the situation despite being completely out of control as a
Yeah.
character. It's more like me trying to find some sense by taking control.
Yeah.
And so we had to mirror one of the like inserts that we did here that we really liked, just so that it made sense with the format of the car, because we're in America, we're not in like
Yeah.
Europe or Asia or any of
Well,
those
we-
other places
yeah.
that have drive on the other side of the road with different steering wheels and stuff. But
And we tried really hard to like we came up with a lot of different stuff. We were really trying a lot of ways to run this argument. So Yeah, I think that's the cut where it swaps sides.
Yeah, because you can see my hair's parted on the other side, stuff like that.
It's one of those things that you thank goodness it was dark out.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have gotten away
Because
with
it's
this
like
for most things.
Most likely you probably didn't notice it until we pointed it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even now, it totally sells.
Yeah.
I think that's a really clever trip, and I think that you can get away with a lot of little things like that in movies and in editing, and no one notices.
Yeah.
Like my hat's backwards now.
Oh yeah, and here's me just scratching my chin. I made the mistake of not shaving like halfway through the week, and so I basically had to stick it out for the rest of the week.
Me too.
With just like this invisible stubble.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it was the worst.
Well, I was actually thankful for this because I forgot to start growing out my facial hair for the bell rings.
That's
but this made me
right,
start,
yeah.
and then I kept it after.
Yeah.
And I haven't shaved it since.
Strokes his beard.
I don't know if beard's the right word. Yeah, like this,
Oh yeah, here's this. This is fun.
going for a
Just
mission.
kind of a suit up
There would be-
montage parody type thing.
So Zach would actually have to strap on his hatchet the correct way. So I would be
Yeah.
standing there for like 3 minutes
Yeah.
as he's like taking off his belt and looping it in,
yeah.
right?
So we definitely cut
Had to
that down
cut
a
a
bit,
lot.
thank goodness. But yeah. Oh yeah, and so here's where we're going after him. I don't remember whose idea it
beverages.
was, but just having the beverages spaced out on the floor was just a really funny touch. Just because
Yeah.
he
Bring
was
it all to
always
a
carrying.
close.
He had so many cans in his pockets that like it would make sense.
I like to imagine that your hot dog suit was just packed
Packed with
full.
And this was at the end of our week of shooting, so we had a ton of empty cans anyway. So this was like.
And those
prop
cans are
reuse
still
and
out in the
stuff.
woods somewhere. Just no. We picked up all the when we were picking up the cans.
We were filming extra bits.
We filmed some extra bits. Yeah.
Pretty much, we tried to cut out as much dead time on set as possible. We only shot for a couple hours a day.
Oh yeah, and so here's the big reveal.
I love
We
how
just-
Zach's running here is so
Oh,
great.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
He's ready
like
to go.
again, don't do this at home. I'm
Yeah.
running with a knife and a hatchet in my hands in the dark. I can't see
Unsheathed.
where things are.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But at the same time, it worked out fine.
We wanted to have a fire,
Yeah,
But
but there
it
was a
like-
fire ban.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it works because it's like within the continuity we have. It's like, oh yeah, there's the ranger's cabin and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, it would make sense that he have us a fire pit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's just Marcus.
Such an out of the blue resolution.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
It's like, I don't know how many people... It'd be interesting to see how many people would have guessed this was the resolution of the movie going into the movie.
my family, I think my sister and my girlfriend, they were like, Rich is up to something. But they didn't know what.
he's like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah.
I think they thought it would have been him in the suit. That's what they... And he was like killing people.
Oh,
Which
man.
would have been a crazy twist, actually. But I think
Yeah.
he would have annihilated us easily.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't have lasted.
Yeah. Turns out very wholesome.
Yeah. And Marcus is so great in this
His
scene.
very
He's like...
Taika Waititi
Yeah.
performance.
No, that was kind of like how I directed him initially. I was like, do what you want. This is an improv film, stuff like that. Just explaining what the project was when we brought him on. But I was like, if anything, pull like channel Korg from Thor Ragnarok. And you're like, okay. And it turned out really well because it's like you kind of get that speech pattern of just kind of
Very matter of fact.
kind of staccato, matter of fact type
Yeah.
thing. But it's like it still feels like you can still feel Marcus's performance in there as well.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just like a rip off of Taika or anything like that. It's
Oh, this is very much Marcus.
yeah. Yeah, this was so much fun. We did like I don't remember how many takes we did of this.
Did a
But
couple.
they were pretty long.
Yeah.
I remember in some of the later ones there was like the pizza was like partially eaten since we'd eaten most of it for dinner. So there was just those 2 slices left. So this must have been one of the earlier takes, at least in this particular
Pretty good. I'll take a slice.
clip part of the scene.
That's some of the best pizza I've ever
It is
seen.
so good.
Man, this place has like
Roadhouse?
onion ring
Firehouse?
pizza-
What's it called?
Firehouse pizza.
Firehouse pizza.
Firehouse Pizza, shout out to you. You are probably some of the best pizza I've ever had.
That...
It's
What was
phenomenal.
it called?
That one?
That
Ooh, I
flavor.
don't know, but it's got onion
so
rings and bacon,
Barbecue
and
sauce.
barbecue
Yeah.
sauce.
It's
Bell
like
peppers.
creamy ranch barbecue or some. I don't know.
It's super
It's
good.
like, it sounds so strange, but it's so good.
I'm just thankful that it isn't close to our house.
Oh, I'd
like
be
you have
eating
to.
it all
Yeah,
it would
otherwise it would be
bad.
like you'd eat it so often, and then you'd
I
be
would be-
taking it for granted. But it's like if it's farther away, it becomes a special thing.
Also, I'd be having like a heart attack once a week. Because you should not eat that pizza often.
Gosh, I
I'm
would.
sure it's horrible for you.
My blood sugar. I could feel my arteries clogging if I just kept eating.
But it's not a complaint. Keep the
no,
pizza that way.
this
Never
is a
change
compliment on the pizza. It is
Yeah.
delicious.
it. Do not change the recipe.
This whole interaction, I absolutely love. It's like very wholesome.
Oh, the
It's so
coffee.
unexpected, and then there's this connection between Jordan and Marcus. I'd love to explore in future.
They are very much the same, cut from
installments.
the same cloth.
Yeah, it's like this connection is immediately drawn, basically from.
I love how he keeps the costume
Yeah.
fully on for this bit.
Yeah, this is where you get to see like the full costume in all its glory.
It's like Ethan was like, "Hey, could you just wear the costume, please?
Just for me.
Yeah.
Just for me. Just pretend.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend that you're really Bigfoot."
My awkward moment where I went to get a soda for Zach, but Richard got him one or
Yeah.
something, so I got stuck with two. So I just
Double fisting, yeah.
I like this is a fun.
This is-
such
yeah.
a wholesome. Them waving at us as we're driving away.
Yeah.
Did they do a take where they were skipping away?
No, we didn't
I
do a
can't remember.
skip, but
I
we
don't know
did
if that-
do the arms around
Yeah.
each other, which is what ended up. Being
And
the
we had to
final.
cut that short because this was filmed that afternoon of our
tent
final
was
day.
still up.
This tent was still up, yeah. And so here we go back to some of the shots from my camping trip that we inserted in later, and that's kind of why my brother's credited as like second unit camera. Oh yeah, and then here's just the resolution.
the Disney Channel ending.
Yeah.
I looked zoned out of my
Yeah.
mind.
It was a long trip.
I'm almost getting
Guys.
No,
like
but I mean, I just like
Jordan
the
in a
characters.
hangover, just with the sunglasses.
Guys, I don't think you can have this many cold ones and live a healthy life.
That would have been funny at the very end. Guys, I have something to say. What? And then just like a geyser erupts, just like urinating everywhere.
Oh no.
It's just perfectly clear. Same as it went in.
And we have our Dan Lotz cameo coming
Oh
up.
yeah.
Oh, we do.
This was great, yeah. So we got the audio. I don't remember
Right
when,
before
but right
the movie
before we
Right before
released the
exporting.
movie.
It was
But
the last
yeah.
thing that went in.
But we were like, we know the general idea of what we want here. Let's, and then we cut to this.
Yakima resident.
Yeah.
A little hint at a sequel, perhaps.
Mayhaps.
Perhaps. Oh yeah. There we go.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
it.
boys.
Yeah.
What a movie.
Zach's first movie.
That's right. Yeah. And then here we go through a lot of credits that are just kind of redundant. Of like, yep, it was mainly us three doing stuff.
In case you didn't know, it was
Oh
made
yes,
by
and then
three people.
our costume designer,
Great costume
absolute
designer.
person.
Phenomenal, really. The
They were
best of the best.
fantastic to work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
What a
Richard, another great addition to our cast, who also provided most of our location shooting stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and here
Ethan,
comes
Our
the-
joke names are
Zach
great.
the
Yeah.
snack.
Oh yeah, and then just a bunch of other nods in there.
Yeah.
Oh yep, special thanks.
Yeah.
And then this is basically we wrap up. We got a little post-credit scene in there. Nothing too crazy.
that.
We have, we have an end credit scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
turn
you
this
haven't
up, turn
seen
this up, turn
yeah,
this up.
it. You haven't seen this yet.
Okay, volume's turning up.
Okay. You're just sitting there. Oh yeah.
Oh.
This is just more like. Yeah.
I don't like bacon. I think that's the bigger sin.
That is my honest opinion.
Oh yeah, come on, Canada, get it right. That line. Oh no. I'm like, I swear, if any of the people that I know up in Canada have seen this. I might get flack for that, but that's okay.
We have no problem with Canadians or Canada.
Just Canadian bacon. Just make bacon normal.
Yeah. That's our movie. This is commentary is now officially longer than the movie.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, Zach, on your first feature film as a director?
I mean, that basically sums it up. We kind of went over most of this stuff with a few mini tangents in there. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun and a great learning experience, too. And it was fun working with you guys as well. It was a great... I don't really think workplace environment is how you describe it, but getting to work with you guys was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it was what I really appreciated, but you guys were very respectful of, like, authorial intent and stuff like that, which is really good, especially in independent filmmaking, because you definitely lose that sort of thing in the studio more often than not. But, yeah. Somebody's here. We better wrap it up. Okay.
1 minute.
Yeah, we basically, as of now, we're at, 1.3...
1.3
thousand views. So thank you all so very much. I am both pleasantly surprised and very grateful for all the support that we have received on this film, and continue just spreading the love. Share with any friends that you think might be into it or not. That's fine too. But
if you really like this movie, maybe we'll make a sequel.
Yeah, just maybe. More news on that later. But yeah, anyways, thank you all. Like and subscribe, all that necessary YouTube stuff. Helps the algorithm, helps the channel, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.